In 2019, this town declared itself a Second Amendment sanctuary town, and I think that we can reinforce our opposition to this never-ending infringement on our constitutional right by adopting this resolution to say that, this is not a second-class right. There's no different than your First Amendment right, free speech, your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures, your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. The Second Amendment is not a second-class right, and we need.
On a resolution opposing Rhode Island gun control legislation.
Councilman Kalenda had submitted the resolution, so.
As all of us who follow the Second Amendment issues know, the state is once again introducing legislation at the State House, trying to further push their gun control legislation in what I believe, and what many of us here, I believe that the further infringement on our Second Amendment rights. In the past few years, we've seen the state adopt laws limiting the magazine capacities, currently being considered by the United States Supreme Court for petition for writ of certiorari to review the constitutionality of that. This year, they're looking at an assault weapons ban, which my reading and several other readings, people that I know, lawyers that I trust, would encompass pretty much almost every semi-automatic firearm, particularly long guns, that are available, with perhaps the exception of some .22 caliber firearms. I think this is our opportunity to say, enough is enough. I know this is not going to stop the state from enforcing anything, or any law enforcement from enforcing any laws that are duly enacted, but in 2019, this town declared itself a Second Amendment sanctuary town, and I think that we can reinforce our opposition to this never-ending infringement on our constitutional right by adopting this resolution to say that, this is not a second-class right. There's no different than your First Amendment right, free speech, your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures, your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. The Second Amendment is not a second-class right, and we need to make our legislators aware of it. There was a great turnout at the State House when they were considering this in the Judiciary Committee, and from what I understand, they're considering revisions to the bill because they are realizing that this is a lot broader than what maybe even perhaps they intended. I'm not going to speak on their behalf. Maybe they did intend it, but I would ask that the council adopt this resolution declaring our unequivocal opposition to the 2025 gun control legislation that's being pursued at the State House this year.
In terms of process, I'd like to suggest, Chaz, that you make a motion to adopt, get a second, and then you can have discussion.
Okay.
So I will make that motion to adopt the resolution in opposition of the 2025 Rhode Island state gun control legislation.
Motion by Kalenda.
Second.
I'm okay. Any further discussion? Anything? This is not a public hearing, but I know some of you people are here for this, so if there's someone who would like to speak, I'm going to keep this short. We're not going to go on all night long, but if there's someone here who would like to speak on this, feel free.
I'm Brenda Jacob. I think everybody knows where I stand on this issue. But I want to thank the town council for doing this because I am a lobbyist up there and I have been battling up there, fearless, just ask my family, they don't see me much this time of year, and they are just not hearing us up there. They're not hearing it, and this is unfunded. So when this comes down to the towns, it's going to put a lot of burden on all of the towns financially, and especially the police departments. So I'm very grateful that you're doing this, and I hope that a lot of towns follow suit and that they start listening to us up there, because right now it's falling on deaf ears. So I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think just to mention that other towns, Lincoln, I believe, was one of the first ones. Gloucester, if I missed, Burville is considering it, Gloucester. So, you know, we'll be in good company if we pass this resolution.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
I also vote aye. All opposed?
Hey, and we are the Coalition Loud and Proud, Civilly Disobedient Media, broadcasting at, well, your West Greenwich Town Hall. Now, I think this completes the bucket list of town halls. I have yet, despite elections and ballots and things like that, I have never been to the West Greenwich Town Hall. It's lovely, it's a throwback, it's a beautiful part of the state, and as many of them might tell you, stay home. We'll send you pictures and postcards, all right? Because this town operates really to its own drumbeat. Tonight, a resolution was passed in the city council, and I'm in front of a real friend of the coalition, someone who started the coalition for a considerable period of time in his run-up to the election for Attorney General, Chaz Kalenda, and is now a city councilman for, is it the town or the city?
It's the town of West Greenwich.
The town of West Greenwich, the burg of West Greenwich, the parish, if you will, of Western France. Chaz, it's great to see you, and it's a lot of fun to make faces at you while you're trying to act like a serious adult. All right? I didn't do any of that. Yeah, I did. So what happened here tonight? A resolution was passed. It was a very friendly moment. It was convivial. It was downright pleasant, but it is not without controversy elsewhere in the state.
That's right. We proposed, you know, at my request, I asked the town to put on the agenda a resolution opposing the pending legislation for more gun control that they're looking at the State House. Specifically the assault weapons ban, the continuing infringements on our Second Amendment rights, and our Article 1, Section 22 rights under the Rhode Island Constitution. So we've continued to see them encroach, take, make law-abiding citizens into felons year after year since they passed these bills. And we in West Greenwich, you know, we believe in upholding our natural rights. And one of our natural rights that we were all born with and is codified into our constitutions is the right to keep and bear arms. And it says shall not be infringed. And for some reason, the state of Rhode Island, state government seems to think shall not be infringed means we'll continue to infringe it until the Supreme Court tells us not to.
So, in a sense, the word sanctuary town/city has been made with reference to the right to bear arms. So can you define that as how that exists now in the town of West Greenwich? And the words unfunded mandate have been heard. What does all of that mean?
So in 2019, actually, the town council, before I was elected to the town council, they passed a resolution declaring that we are a Second Amendment sanctuary town. That means we oppose further restrictions into our Second Amendment rights, into our right to keep and bear arms. It doesn't, obviously we can't tell any law enforcement agency, our own law enforcement agency or any other law enforcement agency what laws to enforce, but we have a tremendous amount of confidence and appreciation for our police department to know, they know when to use their discretion, they know how to use the laws to make sure that they keep our residents safe. So while, you know, we can't stop the state from imposing these laws, we're not going to help them in any kind of sense to impose these mandates, like an unfunded mandate like we were talking that's in the resolution, which would require all cities and towns expend money to keep any seized, quote, assault weapons, unquote, in our property. You know, that costs money, that costs time, that costs personnel, and we're not going to assist the state in carrying those types of burdens out.
Now, the town of West Greenwich was not the first. I believe that in this current round, if you will, of resolutions, I believe Lincoln led the way.
They did.
Which is interesting because, you know, folks don't typically associate a town like Lincoln with heavy politicization of civil rights. They just don't. It's a lovely town, and it's a little bit sleepy. It's got the casino. It's got a wonderful high school, but that's it. You don't hear about Lincoln. What other towns have joined? Give us a few other examples.
So I know that Gloucester has passed one. Foster, I believe, is either passed it or is about to pass it. Burrville is also considering one. And then obviously we did ours tonight. A lot of the language that we used with some of the tweaking that I did on the resolution came from Burrville's proposed resolution. But I certainly wanted to make it clear that we believe these laws are unconstitutional, will eventually be found unconstitutional. And one of the things that makes me believe that is because the case coming right here out of Rhode Island, Ocean State Tactical, that dealt with the so-called large capacity magazine ban that was passed in 2022 under controversial measures at the State House. That is still pending consideration before the United States Supreme Court, along with an assault weapon ban out of Maryland, the Snopes case, which is almost identical to the one that they're trying to pass here in Rhode Island. And the Supreme Court has relisted it, I believe, 8 times now for conference. It's going to be on again for the 4th. And that's unusual in the legal spheres. Usually you get a few relists and then usually a denial, because most petitions for certiorari are denied. Mm-hmm. But this has been going on now for some time. And I think now that they have another decision on an assault weapon ban on the 9th Circuit, you've got the 4th Circuit, you've got the 9th Circuit, you've got the 1st Circuit, and ours is actually still in a preliminary injunction phase. The other 2 cases that they might be considering are final judgments, which makes it more likely for them to consider, but the court's always less likely to consider something in a preliminary stage like Rhode Island's cases. So the fact that our case has survived, I think, 8 relistings at the United States Supreme Court leads me to believe that they're looking to consolidate a lot of these cases and make hopefully a sweeping ruling on issues like what constitutes an assault weapon. Can you ban them? Is that constitutional under the United States Constitution? And I think that this is we saw a tremendous outpouring at the State House in opposition to this. I think we are reaching a point, hopefully. I'm very hopeful that we're reaching a point of people becoming aware of just how far the government is trying to overreach into our natural rights, and hopefully we're reaching that tipping point where the United States Supreme Court finally weighs in.
The time has come, hasn't it? I mean, there's been a great deal. I wouldn't go so far as to call it social unrest, but social divisiveness has taken place all over the country over this. The courts are here to settle. What are the 2 most dangerous words? Settled law. They are here to settle law, if you will. And when you have an attorney general who may be a candidate for governor or lieutenant governor,
God help us,
right, who is clearly intent on ignoring the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court of the nation, the final, if you will, decision spot, what does that say to ordinary Americans who were raised on a concept of judicial fairness? And doesn't that bode ill for democracy?
It absolutely does. If there's ever a threat to democracy, it would be an attorney general who thumbs his nose at the Supreme Court ruling. Our attorney general continues to thumb his nose at the Bruin case, which was decided by the Supreme Court just days after the large capacity magazine ban was passed by the Rhode Island General Assembly. But our attorney general still believes, despite the explicit, not implicit, but explicit order of the United States Supreme Court that you cannot require a need or a good reason to request a carry permit from any state that requires a carry permit. And we're one of the minority states that still requires you request permission of your local or state government to carry a firearm outside your home. The Attorney General continues to demand a need for an Attorney General carry permit in this state, and has been sued as a result. That case is still ongoing, but we expect a favorable decision, considering that was the exact holding in the Bruin case. So, when you have our chief state law enforcement officer who has told everybody by his actions that he's not going to stop doing what he's doing unless a court specifically orders him to stop doing it. Mm-hmm. That is the true threat to democracy, not the political nonsense we hear coming out of perhaps the halls of Congress and the State House from a certain political party.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure it's been a full and rewarding day for you, Attorney Kalenda, Town Councilman Kalenda, Civic Leader Kalenda, and, perhaps in the near future, a few other honorifics being attached to your name.
We can always dream.
Well, we know you're welcome back at the Coalition Radio Network anytime. I think we're going to maybe go into a little bit of a replay of some of the shows you did were remarkable. Interestingly enough, a lot of the workaday issues that we covered back then still hold very important for the lives of the ordinary Rhode Islander. Explaining small claims court on up to your responsibility in an OAUI, on up to your responsibilities and legitimate responsibilities, if you will, for the right to bear arms. So we look forward to that, and you're welcome back, particularly when that day comes. When, well, who knows, right?
Well, I'm happy to come back, and I'm glad you made the trip down here to God's country in West Greenwich, because we're the best run town in the state. I firmly believe that.
Don't let the word out.
And we're the best kept secret in this state. But
And the gates are closed.
the gate. we welcome all those who believe in liberty and freedom.
Excellent, Attorney. Well, wow, Attorney Kalenda. God bless. We'll see you soon.
All right, take care.